this is the crochet headband ear warmer I'll show you how to make today, and it's a beginner pattern, so we're only using a slip stitch, chain stitch and single crochet stitch. And as you can see, it's wrapped around the head, and it's for an adult size of 54 centimeters or 21 inches, and I've just attached a flower button to the headband just to give it a bit of pizzazz. The materials required for this pattern is a small amount of Panda Magnum Soft 8 ply yarn, and this was purchased at Lincraft Australia. Now if you can't get your hands on this yarn, to substitute you can use a soft worsted weight yarn, a DK or any soft 8 ply. So I've just chose this taupe natural colour for my headband ear warmer. The button I use is from a range called Butron Delights, and it's a coconut button, and you get 2 of these in a pack. That's also bought from Lincraft Australia. If you can't get your hands on this, any big button will do. I chose this colour because it goes with the yarn. You'll be using a 4.5mm hook, craft scissors, your yarn needle, and that'll be to weave your ends in and also to sew the button on, and you just use the yarn to sew the button on. And you'll need a stitch marker to place into the first stitch on each round. For the written pattern, you can click through the pattern link below in the description box and you'll find it on the Crochet Hooks You website. To start this pattern, you'll chain on 61 chain stitches, and then making sure not to twist your chain, you grab the other end here and we're going to join into that first chain stitch to form a ring. Now as you work, we're going to be working around in a circle because we've joined there. So we'll be working in rounds, and you want to be sure not to twist up this chain as you work around. So as long as you're holding it like this all the way around, you'll be sure that you're not going to have a twisted headband at the end. So you work like this and you can see the side of the chain stitches as you're working along. Okay, now we're going to place the stitch marker into the first stitch we make on each round. Now for round 1, we'll chain 1, and in this same stitch where the chain 1 is, we're going to do a single crochet, and we're working into both loops of the chain stitch. So the 2 loops that form the V on top of the chain stitch. So that's our first stitch made, so we'll place the marker in just so we can keep a track of where to join when we come around towards here. And now we're going to do a single crochet into each chain stitch around, and remembering to work into both loops of the chain stitch. And this first round is the hardest. It gets easier after you've done your single crochet stitches into the foundation chain. So you can see it starting to form now. So continue along right around, making a single crochet into each chain stitch around, working into both of the loops of the chain, and I'll see you around at the end. So I'm at the end of round 1 and I've made 61 single crochet stitches into the foundation chain. Now before we join, we want to make sure that our headband isn't twisted before we join. So if you place your headband flat on a surface, and make sure that it's all the right way. So that's fine on that end. Making sure that's fine. Okay, so we know we've got it all right. So now you can take your marker out and we're going to do a slip stitch into that first stitch where we just took our marker out to join our round. There we go. Okay, so for round 2, we'll chain 1, and in the same space where that chain 1 is, we'll do a single crochet. And we'll put our marker in there, into the single crochet stitch that we just made. And now we're going to do a single crochet into each of these single crochet stitches. And we'll do that right around. So there's our first one. So single crochet and working into both of the loops of that stitch below. So continue on making a single crochet into each stitch around, and at the end here you should have still 61 single crochet stitches. And once you do have your 61 single crochet stitches on round 2, we'll join into the first stitch we made where we've got our marker. And we'll make a slip stitch to join. And there we have our second round. So to continue on, for rounds 3 to 10, you're going to repeat round 2, which was the round that we just did. And once you've completed round 10, I'll meet you there and show you how to finish off. So I've just completed round 10, and this is what your work will look like. And at this point, if you want the ear warmer headband to be wider, then just continue to repeat round 2 for as many times as you like. And now we're going to finish off. So cut your yarn and leaving enough of a tail to weave in, and just finish off. And with your yarn needle, we're going to weave in the yarn tails. So I'll just trim that because it's a bit scruffy. And just thread your yarn tail through your yarn needle. Oops. And then turning your work so that you can see the inside. I'm just going to see where the knot is there. Just go down in through that loop there of the next stitch. Pull your yarn through. And then we're just going to take it down through the stitches down here, just to hide this tail. And you can take it down as long as you like. And then just skip one loop there and take it back up, just to make it even more secure. And then you can trim that off. That's that one done. And you'll do exactly the same for this one. Okay, so I've just weaved that end in, and now we'll have a look at what the headband looks like on the front here. Now that will roll up a little bit, but it'll go down after a while. Now you can see that there is a difference on each end, and that was the last round that we made, and it looks like that. It's got the V's on the top, and you'll see on this side that's where the starting chain was. So this part of the ear warmer headband, this will be worn at the front of the head. So your face will be here, and that's the front. Okay, so at this point you can now sew on your button, and you can sew your button on wherever you like. Basically just place the headband on your head to see whether you'd like it. Just make sure that's at the back, and that join is at the back there, and that is the front of the headband. So it's going to be worn like this. So I placed mine off to the side like that, but you can have yours in the middle or on the other side. So how I sew that on is I just get some yarn, the same yarn as what we made the ear warmer headband with, and just thread it through your yarn needle. So once you have your yarn threaded through your needle, just make sure you've got enough to sew with, and I just make a knot at the end of these two strands. Like that, and I'll make sure that I have my button where I want it, and then I come up the back here into one of those buttonholes, pull right through, and then down below. And at the back here, I just like to dive in between where I've made that knot, just to secure it to the back there. And then I come up through the top hole again, and down into the bottom buttonhole. And now I'm going to jump over to the other side. And starting with the bottom buttonhole, if I can find it. Always a bit tricky doing buttons for me, especially behind the camera. There we go. And then up into the top and back down through the bottom. Whoops. And back into the top buttonhole. And that's all I do to secure the button. And then the back here, I just weave into a stitch and put my needle through the yarn like that, which makes a knot. And you can do that several times to really secure it. And then I go through, weave down through the stitches as though you were hiding a yarn tail. Like that. And then you can trim that off. And now the project's completed. So it's ready to pop on your head. So that's my crochet ear warmer headband.